Hi guys, welcome back to another fabulous episode of Behind the Pink Wall, where we bring intimate conversations to light in front of our beautiful pink wall here at Cherry Blossom Intimates. And today we actually have a very special episode, part of our Survivor series. It's very interesting. Our videographer, Lindsay Ruffin, has always had this fabulous idea of us sitting down with male caregivers, people who've been supporting women who are going through so much as they are breast cancer warriors. And today we actually are fortunate enough to sit down with Thaddeus, who's been supporting our lovely Bonita Parker.
Yes.
How are you, Thaddeus?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm glad to be here.
Great. We're glad to have you. So he's here joining us for this fabulous event that we're throwing for Bonita. So today we're actually having a party in her honor here at the store, hosted by her friend Anne. And we figured we'd sit down with Thaddeus and hear a little bit about his story and the experience and what it's like. And hopefully you guys can go ahead and share this video with other men that you know who are caregivers so that they can kind of do it in a right way. Bonita loved the experience that Thaddeus gave her and the support that he gave her, so we just wanted to touch base about that.
Yeah.
And welcome, first of all.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm great. It's a beautiful day today.
Yes.
Definitely sun is shining.
Yes,
so I'm
no
glad to
complaints,
be here.
right?
Not at all.
So we'll just get right into it. Can you tell me a little bit about how you met Bonita? Like, tell me about that day.
Actually, we went to high school together.
Okay.
And then she actually transferred, so we knew each other from years back.
Okay.
And then I'm former military, retired, 22 years. And once I came back home, then I met her. We reconnected, and that's how it happened.
Wow. So you knew her back in high school?
Yeah.
Way back when?
Way back.
Did you have any classes together?
Yes, we did.
Which
we actually
class?
did. We had a math class together.
Nice.
Yeah,
Did y'all both pass? You weren't
yes,
too distracted?
we did.
Okay, good. Good. And she tells me the best things about you. And on our last episode, she kind of just talked about the experience of going through so much, but having you to depend on.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about that day that you found out that she had breast cancer.
Oh, wow. She was upstairs, and she was showering, and I was downstairs, and then she came downstairs. She was just crying. It's all to start, so I just gave her a moment to do whatever was going on, and then when she calmed down, she was like, I found a lump. So, and at that moment, I just sprung her to action. We're going to take care of this moment. I just sprung her to action. But previous to them, I'm pretty sure she told you she had missed her appointments to actually do her mammogram. And it was a few months later when this actually happened. So later on, that was all a shock and, everything. But yeah, that's how it was. She came down, she cried. After she cried, she said she found a lump. I said it's going to be all right. I take care of everything in the morning. Next day, I called all the doctors. I made all the appointments.
Wait, you made all the appointments?
I took over the whole thing. I said, all you do is worry about fighting. So I called all the doctors. I made sure that, I was on everything. That's one of the things you definitely need to make sure that you do, that make sure that you're on all your hospital records for you to actually make appointments and get information.
Okay.
That's an important thing to do because there's already burden with the cancer diagnosis. So anything that you can lift off of them and have them focus on something else is very calming to them.
Right.
And that's one of the things that I actually have spoken to other men caregivers that has to go through this actual same thing. And that's one of the things that I tell them, take as much off of them as you can to have them focus on the actual fighting, give them different experiences, more laughter, things of that nature, because there is healing in laughter. So that was the initial point of it.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So you took care of all the appointments for
her.
How was she at the doctor's appointment?
Yeah, that's another thing about the appointments, that they may not register everything that the doctor is telling them when they're going through this. And that's one of the things that you definitely have to pay attention to as well, because they have so much. Most of the time you hear a C word, you think death instantly. It's like, I'm going to die. So when they go to the doctor and the doctor's spitting all these terms and this is this, or this is what we have to do, what I did was I used that good old smartphone we got, and I just took out my phone, so I just started taking notes as the doctor was speaking. So as I took the notes, later on I was able to say, okay, this is what's going on, this is what the doctor spoke about, or I could do a recap while we're in the doctor and say, if you have any questions, this is what she spoke on, so on and so forth.
Oh, I love
that. That is very important, because you can miss information that may be pertinent later on when you're actually going to your next doctor visit, because everything is in correlation with the next. So one appointment, you got to get the information that you got from the last doctor to the next doctor, and so on and so forth, so they can have a complete history of the health and your specific diagnosis.
Okay, so what he was saying was that he went and just took notes at her doctor's appointment.
Absolutely.
Because she had so much going on in her mind.
Right.
She couldn't really absorb all of it, remember
Absolutely.
it, and then take it to the next appointment. So he took notes in his smartphone, looked up things that you weren't so sure
Absolutely.
about, and then made sure he had those notes for the next appointment.
Absolutely.
That's already, I'm learning a lot. Okay. All right, so you would take her to the appointments and take those notes and then help to relay that information to her doctors in the future. What was it like at home?
Okay, home was pretty much pre-treatment. It was the process of getting up. What am I going to have to go to? So there was a lot of anxiety, unknowing. So one, you have to know who your companion is. You have to know who the person you're dealing with and how they are normally, and know those ranges of emotions that they have, and never try to stop them from having emotions. Let them know that they can actually deal with the emotion, but don't over-exaggerate the moment.
Okay.
And compartmentalize the things little by little. What's the next step?
Okay.
So that's what we had to do, is say, what's the next step? Okay, the next step is we go to the doctor. We got to get a diagnosis for a mammogram, then we go do a PET scan, then we go do X, Y, and Z. So put things in perspective and instead of like clumping everything together and overwhelming yourself.
Okay.
So that was one of the things
So
that
it's
we
like
definitely had
just
to
one
do.
step at a time.
One step at a time.
Okay, and knowing her normal.
Right.
Okay, and
Right.
if she got emotional, you were okay with that?
Yeah, just let them be emotional. I just give emotion. It's okay to be emotional. It's okay to let it out. Don't harbor what you have, but don't harp on it as well. So that's some of the things that we do regularly, just on a regular day. We get some news and we just keep them out. Okay, we understand that you have cancer. Now, what are we going to do about it? It's the turn of the focus. What are we going to do about it? And start focusing on that. So that was one of the things we had to work on. It's not easy, but it's the process that you have to go through.
Okay.
And it was very helpful. And
what were some of your emotions during this process? Like how did you feel about all of this?
This is not unfamiliar to me, for one. My mom actually passed from breast cancer. So I can remember everything distinctly from her and her situation. And I was like 9 when this happened. So, but I can remember the very first day when she, when that came down. But my emotions were to understand that situation. One of my previous jobs was I worked at Walter Reed with the Wounded Warriors. And working with the Wounded Warriors, I've seen a lot. I've dealt with a lot of ranges of emotions, and it's tough if you don't actually think about what you're doing, why you're doing it, and then take time for yourself. If I can give anybody any advice on anything, take time for yourself, because one of the things people say, oh, well, you cannot pour from an empty cup. And it's true. A dead battery can't charge another battery. So you got to take time for yourself, because if you're frustrated, you're upset, your emotion range is going out of whack. You're going to turn that into your patient and their recovery, and then they're going to digress. And I can't say this enough, smiles, laughter, it helps in the healing process. It releases the endorphins, and it's just positive all the way around.
So So what did you do to recharge your batteries?
I did things that I like to do. I go. I like sports.
Okay.
I might go out to a sporting event. Of course, I was to call it. I'm on call, so I know I have a certain amount of time that I could be away. What I'm saying, to feel comfortable. What I'm saying, especially when treatment started. So I hang out with my friends. Just do the things that you normally do to relax. Don't give up on those things, but schedule them as you can. And if some day that you schedule and you can't do them, just reschedule them. But keep that in your forefront. Don't never lose sight of that, because once you
Okay.
lose sight of your healing, your recharging, it's not going to be good for either one of you.
Right. And was she pretty understanding when you would go out and, get some guy time, alone
Yeah.
time? Was she okay
Yeah,
with that?
she was okay with that. It was few and far in between, just because of her situation and so many appointments, and we had to drive from Waldorf all the way to Albany, Maryland. I don't know if you know the distance,
Yes,
but that's
that's pretty far. That's a long commute.
right. So it was just, but that's what when we went through the treatment process of getting the team, that's what we were comfortable with the team. That saying that we went to the different doctors and we was comfortable with that team. So
Okay.
so we took her out there. We drove out there for the appointment, but yeah, definitely remember to recharge. Do what you like to do. It's not going to be as much as you like to do, but you have to do it.
Right, right.
Yeah.
What was the hardest part in all of this?
Oh man, I would say being able to remain empathetic, okay, then also be engaged. Most people don't know, just think about your healthcare providers in the hospital. They wonder why some nurses not empathetic, or they don't show that. Because any time you do something in a pattern every day, and you get used to doing something every day, if the more you're into it, the more emotional it becomes. So you have to disengage sometime to re-engage, so you can put things in perspective. And that was one of the things that was I knew I had to do, and that was hard to do, because you're looking at someone you care for, and you always, anytime you care for somebody, you want to take some of that burden off of them, and you can't. Everything you just can't do. You can't take everything for everybody. So
Right.
just going through that, once you get frustrated, you just like, okay, how do I relieve this frustration? So that's like the hardest part, not being able to, like I say, learning how to negotiate their trials. That's the hardest part. Learning how to negotiate their trials, and then still keep your same monotone, and then release later somewhere else, not in front of them so much.
Okay, so the release was always away from her.
Absolutely.
Okay. I hate to ask it, but what's been like the best part, or the better parts of dealing with this?
Truth be told, like anytime you get progression, it's like a happy day. I'm not feeling so bad today. You cherish those moments. So it's like, okay, well, I've been down for 3 days, and then sometimes you get a pattern of your recovery. So you get treatment. Normally it takes 2 or 3 days, depending on what's going on, and then on that 3rd or 4th day is a good day. So you look forward to those days, and it's like, okay, well, I know it's Monday, Tuesday, by Wednesday, Thursday, we should start coming around. She starts smiling. The body's not aching as much. So you get to look forward to those days, and on those days, that's when you do what you can do. Instead of trying to push through on certain days, you set things up for those days that are normally good days.
Do you guys have anything special that you do to celebrate on those good days?
It just
feel good
depends. We normally have the Tuesdays our movie day, so we going to the movies. We'll go to the movies on Tuesday, or figure out a restaurant that we want to go to, or a new restaurant we haven't been to, and we go there. So it just depends. So it's more like, okay, what do you feel like doing today? I might want to go hit MGM and sit outside if it's a good day, and work. She does her business and everything, so we might shut up shop in the office at the MGM Grand on the outside.
Oh, that's
nice. So
That's very cute and fun. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so is there anything that someone should really know as they're going through this? Any piece of advice that you would give the guys that you haven't given them yet?
You are important. Your you set the tone for how things are going to go because they feed off of you. If you're moody, they're going to be moody. Okay, so you really set the tone. So you must. I can't say it enough. You must assess yourself always. Don't shut down yourself. And like I said, I worked at Walter Reed, and I know that a lot of times people don't see the caregiver as someone that's in the fight as well.
Right.
And that needs to be dispelled. It needs to be understood that it's just like your child. If your child is going through something, you're hurting.
Right.
So it's never say you can't. I've heard statements like, say, well, they're the one in the fight. Well, if you're a loved one or you're in the fight as well. So never discount or feel that you're discounted as being a caregiver. Your emotional strength, your smile is infectious to them. So if you're down, you're unhappy, it's going to transfer over to them. And that negative energy could be fatal.
Right.
It could really be fatal. And on the flip side of that, the positive energy could be so much of a healer. So people, I just say that I deploy you or I charge you with taking care of yourself, taking care of them, and being positive. No matter what the said diagnosis is, you got to be positive.
Absolutely.
And take advantage of every moment of every day.
Perfect. Thank you. This has been so helpful. You walked in with a smile, so I can see why she is healing so well.
Yeah.
She always has a smile on her face,
Yeah.
and she looks happy. So
Right.
whatever you're doing, keep it up. You're
I'ma
doing
try,
a great
try.
job. Yes.
Thank you.
So this has been another fabulous episode of Behind the Pink Wall. Thank you all for tuning in. You can catch us right here again next Tuesday on cherryblossomintimates.com. Thanks, TJ.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
You too.
Bye, guys.